All right, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for watching. My turn number 4 is going to be happening here on Victory in the Pacific. And if you've been watching along, you see that I've got some favorable rolls and seem to be in a good position. Now I have to capitalize on that. And we'll see what I can do. But, it is me trying to capitalize on it. My opponent, John Sharp, has brought up some stuff that I probably should talk about a little bit before we get started, just to make rule clarifications easy. Now, we are playing underneath the Menzel options, which covered basically the first turn mostly. But to see all of those options, just look down below, and there's a link there to Gameaholics, and they have all of the different options that you can use for these games. Now, these were all made up to make the game more balanced. And so over the years, certain ones have really surfaced as to be the one that almost everybody selects. So whenever you have a game with somebody, you go back and forth talking about, what rules you want to follow. And then you decide on the set of rules that you want to follow with the optional rules. And then you go back and forth and you bid as to what side that you want. So let's say if you're the Japanese, Imperial Japanese Navy, you want that. You would bid it out and offer them like 1 point or 2 points or 3 points. So at the end of the game, that would be added to the score. So they'd get, a 3-point bonus at the end of the score. The Allies would if you wanted the Imperial Japanese Navy. Now, a lot of times with these modifiers that we, the optional rules that we add on, the game is pretty well balanced. So you don't really add too much to that when the game is balanced like that. But you do add some, especially if you want a certain side, if you want to play a certain side. Now, the other thing I should point out is that the British can only port in Ceylon. I think I might have misspoken and said that they could go to the Andaman Islands. I probably shouldn't have said that. They can't. They can only go there, but they can port in Saigon and Singapore if the Allies control that. Now, when the Imperial Japanese control, obviously they can't port there. So a lot of times you're just limited to where the British can port at. So they only play an important part over in Indonesia. And unless you can take control of Indonesia, then they can start affecting other parts of the game, which I'm sure some people can do that. I'm not doing that. But anyway, let's get back to the game. Let's jump right in. We'll start. I'm going to narrow the games down some. I'm going to try and show more of the moves, and we'll concentrate less on the rules and stuff unless it's something I haven't covered. But I'll just show you where my opponent played and where I played, and we'll get through this rather quickly. So let's check out the Imperial Japanese placement of patrollers. All right, so let's see what he did. So in the Japanese island, placed a light cruiser here just to make sure that he remains control and gets 3 points, because I really can't get anywhere close to this one. I also can't get close to the Mariana Islands here, so he only has 1 there because I can't. There's no way I can go past these areas to get to here. Up here in the Aleutians, he actually didn't leave any patroller there, and he flipped over a cruiser here that's based to a raider because he doesn't really worry about control of this so much. If he gets control of this, he gets no points for. So if he gets control of this, he sort of blocks the way in. And I think that's what he's going to try and do on the next turn here. But he'll do that with aircraft if he wants control of that. Over here, Central Pacific, cruiser here. Down in the Marshalls, just a cruiser here. And most of his fleet he's put here. He's got the 444 battleships, a 695 battleship, all of the 127 cruisers except for the one that is up here in the Aleutians, and 1 aircraft carrier. So I'm sure he's going to supplement that with his aircraft. His aircraft's definitely going to be going over here. I'm thinking that he's going to have it here or here, depending on where I put patrollers at. Now, my problem is trying to figure out how to get in and break into this barrier. And the logical choice would be to come into Central Pacific because that's a direct jump right into the Japanese islands, which he has to protect. Which you think I would do that, but let's see how I handle all of this in my thinking, and let me show you my patrollers. All right, so on this side of the board, I'm not doing very well. It's placement, everything's just not working very well for me. And sort of a silly move here, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But I put 2 cruisers over here in Indonesia. I had 2 battleships going over there, and I had to do speed rolls on them, and both of them failed. So they both automatically become raiders, like that. I placed 3 battleships here, 3 or 4, what do I have there? 4. I have 4 battleships in the bay just to prevent him from taking that back, because it's worth points for me. I put 1 cruiser down here in Indonesia, which, is no big thing if I get that or not, but it sort of prevents him from moving through that area, like, boom, boom, there. Up here at the top, really stupid move with the Hermes. It's really the only aircraft carrier I have that I can put in Indonesia, and I made that for a speed roll. Let me get rid of these dice here. So I made that for a speed roll. Get that back on there. And the only problem with that is the speed roll number is a 4. So if I go to throw it over in here, which I'm going to have to roll a speed roll for it, because if they go 2, they have to do a speed roll automatically British. And if I don't get the 4, it comes back and bases here. So, he doesn't have to put much in the way of aircraft. One of these aircraft or 2 of these aircraft would almost guarantee holding this area here. So not much is going on there. So let's look on the other side of the board where I can probably do something here. Down here in the Coral Sea, I just have 1 cruiser here because I have plenty of aircraft to come and protect all of these areas, really. So I have 1 cruiser there. I didn't even have to leave a cruiser actually there, but I did. Flip these over to Raider here. 1 battleship here because it's a 3, so it's going to be hard to, really get that to go any place all the time. All these became Raiders over here. Up in the Hawaiian Islands, I did... up at the top here, I don't know if I said it, but I have 2 repair points going on the battleship to fix up that battleship up here in San Diego Harbor. And then down here in Pearl, I use the other 7 points of that 9 that I get for this turn to fix this battleship. So this battleship will be returning on turn 5, come back into the fray. I have 2 cruisers up here in Central Pacific. I really should have thrown a lot more with most of his force right there. I should have really concentrated on getting into the Central Pacific on this turn. And now I know that after playing this game, my technique and knowledge wasn't as good as it is, or I didn't know as much as I know now. But I should have made a bigger vibe for this area here, especially with him only having 1 here. I could, if nothing else, just knock him out of not having the points here for this. North Pacific, again, I could have put another one up in here, which I probably should have. I probably should have put a battleship up here, a couple other things. I can't really get any aircraft there, but if he throws 1 plane over here, I do have an aircraft carrier available to come on up here, the Wasp here, that could make it here. And even the Saratoga could make it up into there if needed. So I should have planned a little bit ahead. So not really a very aggressive ally movement as far as patrollers go. So let's see where, I'll just place all of the land-based air in the next cut here so that you can see where they all went, and that'll speed us along, plus the Marines all throughout. So normally we do 1 land-based, he'll do a land-based, I'll do a land-based air, then 1, and we go like that because it's important. But I'll just show you where they all ended up, and then after that we place our Marines where we want them. So then again, they are generally 1 at a time. We go back and forth with that. So in this case, we'll just throw them all out there and get you all caught up. So let's take a look at the Raider move, or not the Raider. So let's take a look at the land-based air and Marine moves. Okay, so he placed 2 land-based air up in Indonesia, which was to be expected. Put his San Sabo, which actually came back from turn number 1. He put him in South Pacific Ocean. That was actually based in Truk. I don't think I had it up there. And then over here, another land-based in the Mariana, or the Marshalls, I should say. A land-based air here in the Central Pacific, and 1 in the Northern Pacific, because he can put them all there. I can't put any of mine there, so all of mine did was protect down here. So in the Coral Sea, I have 3. U.S. mandates, I have 2. And the Hawaiian Islands, I have 3 here. I moved my Marine up into the Marshall Islands to sort of give him an idea that I'm going to come into this island here. So maybe he'll put a lot of resources there. Whether or not I'm going to do that, it just depends on where all his resources on his raider turn goes. So let's see where he placed his raiders. Okay, so this cruiser came on from over Dutch Harbor, 1, 2, 3 into here, and to set up for next turn to base that truck here. Almost his entire raiding force went into the South Pacific there to protect them, to protect that area, but mainly to keep everything intact, knowing that I can't throw everything in there and win in any way. 2 aircraft carriers came on over to this area, along with this land-based aircraft. Makes this really difficult for me to get away with anything over here unless I get a night move, then I can land my Marines so I can get aircraft in here next turn. But that's slim. Just one ship, the Soho, went over to Central Pacific Ocean. So this is a viable option for me now. Central Pacific is a place that I could go and attack. And then also just one cruiser came on over here to Northern Pacific. So this is another option, but we do have an aircraft here. So most likely I have to either decide which one I'm going to have to go after, because I have limited resources as far as aircraft carriers. So I have to decide which one I want to attack. So let's see what I do. Okay, so for my Raiders move, I put some Raiders over in here. Now I know that I'm not going to be able to get rid of this guy here, but I would just want enough guys to protect this Marines here. And hopefully I can get a night. And if I get a night, that means I can attack these 3. If I get a day, then he's going to probably go after Marines and a couple others. But I'm hoping to get a night now. Going against the flag, most likely won't, because he's going to get +1 for the flag and then +1 for day. And so I probably won't get that call there. Up in the Central Pacific, I put a lot more over here. I put 2 aircraft carriers here so they can take out this aircraft here, land-based unit. If I can take out that land-based unit, I can get the other one with surface ships with these 2 here. So I have plenty of those. So if I do get a night here, I can attack them. But you know, I should have enough over there to get a couple nights. But if I do get some days, they're all attacking. Both of them are going to be attacking this one. So this will get a free shot at a aircraft carrier. Most likely he's going to bring his submarine over here, which I'm guaranteeing you he will. And then up here in the North Pacific, I brought these Raiders up here. Now, why did I do that? Just to go after this 118. Well, 118s are very fast. I would like to get rid of that. But I don't know that it was worth bringing all that. But I do have even odds. I get a +1. He gets a +1 if he goes for day to try and attack me with land base. I go for night. I get a +1. So we're even roll up here. So at least I have better odds up here than I do down over here in the Marshalls. Let's see how it all works out. Okay, so here are our day-night rolls. Over here in Indonesia, I forgot to show you, I had a speed roll for the Hermes here to get him over here, and I actually got that speed roll, so the Hermes was able to come over to Indonesia. But on the day-night action, I rolled a 2. He had a 5. He gets +2, so that's 7 to 2. So the day action wins out over in Indonesia, unfortunately for me. Coming down here into the Marshall Islands now, I rolled a 6. He rolled a 5, so I thought, oh, that's cool. But he gets a +2 because it has a day action and he has control of the area. So he actually has 7 to 6. So again, another day action win there. In the Central Pacific, I had night action. He had day action. We rolled 3 and 3. So he had, because he has day action and control of the area, he gets a +2. Mine stays at 3. So he has 5 to 3. Gets a day action here, unfortunately, again, for me. Not what I wanted. Okay, so up here in the North Pacific, you'll notice that the dice had changed a little bit. I had the wrong dice set up here. But my opponent wanted a day action. He got a 4. I wanted a night action. I got a 5. I get +1 for the zone. And he gets +1 for day action. So it's 6 to 5. I still get it. So we ended up with a night action. And like I said, It just allows me to get rid of this ship is all it does. So let's see how the battles turned out. Okay, so our first battle is up here in Indonesia, and the land-based air here did get a 5, so that put a disabled on my only attacking air unit here. So the Hermes is going to go back after this turn to port. This particular aircraft missed completely the Dorshire, so that one lives to fight another day, at least for right now. Let's check out the Marshals. Okay, so here in the Marshals, the Juno on the 2nd Marines got a 5 and a 6, which is 2 hits. So that's 9 damage was done there. So they are very much out of the game now, which shoots my plans out for taking over one of these islands. So this will go and come back in on turn 6. Now here the Hio had 3 shots, and it did get a disable on the North Carolina there. So that's going to be going back to port as soon as this action is over. Let's move up to Central Pacific. Central Pacific, the Shoho hit the Wasp. It actually got 1 die roll that was 5. Hit the Wasp for 3 damage. So sunk my aircraft carrier there. And over here we had a 5 there, which gave us a little disable on the Saratoga. So the Saratoga is going to be leaving here after this. So both of my aircraft carriers are going to be gone out of this area after this attack here. But he still has an I-boat that could maybe finish off the Saratoga during the I-boat combat, which follows. North Pacific. Over here in the Central Pacific, the Mogami hit the San Francisco with a whopping 6 roll here and did 5 damage. So the only patroller I had is now going to the graveyard in this area. So no reason for me to even stick around here most likely, so I'll probably just bail. So let's see what my attacks did back. Okay, so over here in Indonesia, my 1 shot at this damaged land-based air completely missed with the Hermes. So got a 4. So what that means is that all of my ships now are going to run, and we signify that by putting them over on the line here, which means that we are retreating out of this area. Now the land-based air, of course, the Hermes automatically goes. The Hermes actually would go right up here, right up into Ceylon, because it has a disabled on it. So it would automatically go, as soon as battle's done, it would automatically go back to there. Or as soon as the battle is finished in this area. So because these are land-based units, they can't go after these ships, so they're just going to retreat and they're going to get out of there. Here in the Marshals, I have nobody that can attack here. So the North Carolina automatically ports because it has a disable on it. And all of these units are running as a single unit, so we'll see if they want to pursue or not. Big disappointment here up in the Central Pacific Ocean. Seeing as how both of my aircraft carrier are leaving after this, I attacked, I got a disable, the Wasp got a disable, which means nothing to aircraft, land-based aircraft. Saratoga did get 1 hit. We can't count the attack bonus on aircraft, so I had to roll a 6. So I got 1 6 out of 8 rolls. That only did 2 damage to the land-based air. So unfortunately for me, that leaves the land-based air here with nothing for me to attack it with. So as a result, all of these units are going to want to retreat. So all of my ships will be retreating. They will, now you have a choice of retreating individually, as a group, and then you go with the slowest one. So I'm going to go as a group of retreating. So we'll see if my opponent wants to chase with the 1 ship or these 2 here. If he gets a day, he gets a free shot, but if he doesn't, he doesn't get anything. The Wasp is sunk, so it goes over. It's going to go over in the graveyard. Of course, that's all happening on cleanup, but I'm just taking off the map just to clean it up a little bit here. And we still have the Saratoga, which is disabled. But so because the Saratoga had a disable, the I-boat takes its shot afterwards, after that battle. So the Saratoga is off into port. So the I-boat took a shot at the Indiana because this battleship has a bonus there. It did manage to get a hit, and it did get 2 damage on my good battleship there. So that's going to cause me to either repair it or just use it as a damaged ship for the rest of the game. We'll see what I decide to do. It just depends on what I need to do with it. All right, so up here in the North Pacific, all of my surface ships are firing at the Moogami, and I'm not going to show you all the dice roll here, but needless to say, they got above 2 damage on it, so they sunk that. And then after that, this ship here, and this ship got to fire too. Even though it was sunk, it still gets to fire because everything happened simultaneously. But this ship is going to go over to the graveyard, and all of these ships are going to want to retreat. And because the only thing that's left here is a land-based aircraft, he will not be able to pursue them. So I guess, you know, I was able to get a 118 with a bonus shot cruiser off the board for just my cruiser, but still not the result that I actually wanted over in this one. The Japanese player is going to gain control of this area, so that works out nice for him. So my opponent decided not to go after any of the retreating ships, so I ended up with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cruisers and 3 battleships and an aircraft carrier in Pearl Harbor. Down in Samoa, I ended up with 5 battleships, 6 battleships, and 3 cruisers in Samoa here. The Australians and the one Pensacola ended up down here in Australia. So I have 3 cruisers based in Australia that fled. And up here in Ceylon, of course, is where all of the British hightailed it to. Now, I did take the Indiana that had 2 damage. Remember, the sub got 2 damage on it. And I put this up in San Diego Harbor. And this particular one here will be coming back next turn. So let's see what we have for points. Okay, so for control and flags, we start out with the Bay of Bengal. The Allies still control that. That stays in Allied control. Indian Ocean, the Allies have control of that. So that's in their control. Indonesia, Imperial Japanese Navy retains control there. Japanese Island, they retain control there. The Marianas, the Imperial Japanese Navy retains control. South Pacific, the Imperial Japanese Navy remains in control of that. Coral Sea, the Allies remain in control of the Coral Sea. U.S. mandates, Allies remain in control of the U.S. mandates. Marshall Islands remains in control of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Central Pacific remains in control of the Imperial Japanese Navy. The Aleutian Islands is controlled by nobody. The Imperial Japanese Navy flips North Pacific. And the Hawaiian Islands remain Allied control. Okay, so for basing, most of the Japanese fleet is here in Truk. We have a cruiser and an aircraft carrier over here in Midway to protect that. The Imperial Japanese Navy got another large battleship here. They also have these 2 Marine units coming back, which my opponent is going to put them down in Truk where they'll do the most good. And he gets back another aircraft, land-based unit right there. As for me, the Maryland is fully repaired now, so that's going to come in over here at Pearl Harbor. The Indiana is up here in San Diego Harbor. Now these 4 battleships here from the British, they actually get taken out this turn. So they have to leave the game. So they're removed. And the rest of the British fleet is up here in Ceylon. Down here in Australia, I have 3 cruisers and all of my aircraft, and I also get 2 more aircraft coming in as reinforcement. So I based 5 cruisers and 7 battleships down here in Samoa. All the rest of the fleet went over into Pearl Harbor here. The West Virginia is now repaired, so that comes off. And for my reinforcements, I have a cruiser coming in, have a battleship with a bonus value on it. We have the Vincent, which is a special British unit, and it's the only one allowed to port at Pearl Harbor. And I have 1 Marine coming in at Pearl Harbor, and the other Marine could actually go any place, but I will be placing that also at Pearl Harbor. The first Marine from turn number, 2 it was lost? Yeah, so it's turn 5. So turn number 3 it was lost. So that comes back in. So there's our reinforcements and basing. Okay, so needless to say, that was a very bad turn on my part and a good turn for my opponent. He definitely knows how to play this game better than I do. Hopefully I can do better on turn 5, which I have to do, because turn 6 and 7 I get a lot of reinforcements, but I have to have most of this map taken, well, all of this map taken back in time. So as you can see by the distribution of flags and points of control, the Japanese player now has 19 points ahead of me. So I hope the graphic helps a little bit, because I know I made some mistakes on the turn number 1, I think, in describing the point value that we were accumulating here. But so far now, at the end of turn 4, starting of turn 5, the Japanese has 19 points to the Allies. So I have to start reducing that point total that he gets every turn and starting to bring it back towards my side of the board here. So that's going to be the tough part for the Ally player in this game. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And I hope to have you around for the next turn. Thanks for watching this one.